O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. You now can take the Mind of an Entrepreneur show wherever you go. I'm now available on Spotify. Just search Sajdah Wendy Muhammad.
Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show and our Manifestation Tune-Up show, part 2, before we move into the new year. And we're just going to chit chat. We're going to talk about some things. I want to calibrate you to the mindset of going deeper and looking for opportunity when people say that there is none. All right, so we're going to be right back. Sit back, get your pen and paper. Let's relax and let's talk about this, and let's move into a new way of thinking and being for 2023. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Enjoying precious moments with family and friends is what the holidays are all about. Taking care of your health is also important. Peripheral artery disease, also known as PAD, is a serious medical condition affecting 8.5 million American adults. If you're experiencing leg pain, leg swelling, or difficulty exercising, then you may have PAD. PAD can put you at a risk of a heart attack or stroke. If you or a loved one has any of these symptoms, call today or visit mivcmd.com for more information.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. And let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Peace and blessings, family. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, and y'all know that I have been on a mission to introduce to you these wonderful emerging new market leaders and industry disruptors from the Mo Today Black Muslim Business Directory. And so I'm working on new platforms and other ways to get the word out there about you. So we picked 19 shows to test out on our new Roku network called Mo Today. So if you have Roku TV, and if you bought a TV in the last 2 years, they're all equipped with Roku at this point. Go out there and add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your channel list. The icon's gonna be Mo Today, and you should see it right here in the corner. And get access to the channel, and you will start to see some of our wonderful shows that are listed up here on our new Roku channel. This is just a little tester. Let's see if y'all like it. Let me know in the chat what you think, and go out there and add the channel to your Roku lineup. Let me show you what it looks like to your Roku lineup. Let's see, it'll look like that. There it is. Peace and blessings.
We're back, and you're tuned into the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Today, I decided to do these, couple shows to get us to go through a little tune-up for our manifestation, as opposed to, because normally I do a New Year's Eve show. If you've been following me for years, you know that I do a goal setting show and a New Year's Eve show. And I decided not to do that this year. I'm going to do something different on New Year's Eve. But what I thought we would do is have a conversation about manifesting and about learning how to go deeper and giving you some key points on how to take your life to that next level for 2023. See, as entrepreneurs, we oftentimes are, the people in our families that people maybe think don't need any help, don't need any support. Maybe they think no one needs to call us and say, hey, how's it going? How's it doing? How you doing? But when you have that spirit of entrepreneurship and wanting to do something more that's on you, it can be a heavy spirit, and you're constantly thinking, you're constantly moving, you're constantly doing things that maybe other people wouldn't do. And so it's important that we gain access to mental strategies. I want to say, and I haven't done this in a while, go out on Amazon and get a copy of my book. It's available in both English and French. The French is only on Kindle, but it's the paper version, and then we have an electronic version. Go out here and order this book. I put this book together off of a series of topics that I had started teaching on when I first started doing this Mind of an Entrepreneur podcast. And I actually created 3 volumes of it, but instead of publishing the second and third volume, I just been verbally and audio publishing, I guess you could say, here on the show, the additional volumes. But I just want to say to you, first off, I know that there's a lot of us that didn't make it or will not make it to 2023. But there are those of us that will make it to 2023. And we have to live today knowing that we're going to continue We can't just lay down today going, well, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't do that. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. So I know that. I'm noticing that the news and the press is becoming more and more negative, more and more gloom and doom as the year gets closer to ending. The Gregorian year ends on December 31st. People are getting sadder and sadder and more hopeless. They start with how they advise us on these winter storms and how the airlines are going and the travel and the this and the that. And we stay one-dimensional. We stay right there on the surface, but we don't go deeper to really understand what is happening. Another book that I've been recommending this year, I think I started actually recommending it a few years ago, but I don't have it in front of me, but it's Tom Burrell's book. It's called Brainwashed. It's a great book for you to get, because one of the things that the theme of the book is that Tom says that there's a certain point where the brain washed becomes the brainwasher. And this is how tricky this stuff is, right? And most of this is rooted in predatory capitalism. So, we live in what we think is a free market world, or for the most part, it's a free market world. We live in a capitalist society. And certainly as conscious entrepreneurs, we are not against capitalism and free markets and people being allowed to trade and do business and do for sale. Absolutely not. That's one of the things that actually is very, very important to us. But one of the things that happens is that predatory capitalism becomes so dominant, right? There are people who spend billions of dollars, and there are billions of dollars sent out per day in advertising, in marketing, in propaganda, in an effort to control your mind, in an effort to get you and I to believe the way that particular capitalist wants you and I to believe, so that they can then turn around and come back and use that belief system that they got us to adopt in order to get us to give them access to our assets. It's just that simple. And when you have thousands of people doing that, thousands of people trying to influence you, thousands of people out there with the propaganda, it becomes very, very difficult sometimes as an entrepreneur to figure out how to wade through it. And we get distorted by the lies. And because we're so distorted by the lies, we become diseased, whether it's in the mind or in our body, in our functionality. We have a difficult time doing things because we're so distorted, because there's so many lies out here. And so people say, well, how do you cut through that? What do you do? I don't think that until we fully separate from the lies can we truly be liberated and be free. But in the meantime and in between time, I have to encourage you all to use a principle that I've been using now for about 30 years. And that is to look for Allah in everything. And when you're looking for him in everything, then the scorecard doesn't matter as much. What do I mean? We start down the road, we set a goal, we decide we want to do something. As soon as we say a prayer, we're taking score. We're trying to figure out how far along we've come and how much further along on the road towards the goal that we are once we started praying for it. Or we're constantly looking at other people and taking score. How's my body look in comparison to that person's body? How's my face look in comparison to that person's face? How's my bank account look in comparison to that person's bank account? All these things that we do, constantly comparing, constantly marking time, and not realizing that this is what's distorting us, this constant comparison. It's what's making us look older and making us age faster, because we're constantly comparing and marking time. We ought to take a page out of Prince's book where he said he don't count time. He don't celebrate birthdays, and he don't count his age. And that's why he always looked 10 years younger than what he looked 10 years ago. There's something to that, because when you have propaganda out here telling you, well, at this age, you should start to feel like that, or at that age, you should start to look like this. But if you really look at things in the divine or cosmic universal way of looking at things, time is not even really relevant. It really shouldn't matter. Time is different depending on what planet you go to, right? Because the days are longer. You have some planets where the days are over 5,000 hours. You have some planets where they spin so fast that the planet has distorted. I think it's Saturn, and the days are super fast. So time is an illusion. So marking time in connection with our divine selves doesn't really make sense. When you start thinking about manifesting and moving towards things, the time piece of it is a tricky one, because you could have someone, and I will say this, I'll say it like this. I'm a very old soul, right? When I was 5 years old, I had the sense of how many times I had materialized into this earthly plane. Had the sense of it. I knew I was ancient. At 5 years old, I had a feeling that I was an ancient being. So when I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that we were over 66 trillion years old, I didn't even blink, because I knew. I couldn't really say what I was doing or where I was, but I had that sense of the through line that connected me all the way back to the Creator, and the way I had evolved and multiplied. I had that sense at 5 or 6 years old. So age didn't matter to me. If I would get in trouble, because if my mom then was talking about grown people stuff, I didn't see no reason why I couldn't listen. I couldn't understand why they was trying to spell. And I'm going to tell you how real that was. No one actually sat down and taught me how to read. I already knew. And so, you know, there's jokes among certain people that say, well, I discovered that you knew how to read. I didn't have to go cat and the hat and the ebonics. I already knew how to read. And reading became my mojo throughout my educational process. And so then reading brings on other skill sets. But that's just my example. I'm sure you have things about you that were unique that you recognize as early as 5 or 6 years old. So the time piece, I want you to relieve yourself of that stress. Because as we move into 2023 and we're thinking about our new goals, and we're worried about, like, you know, how old I am, how old my children are, blah, 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 blah. It's not actually really relevant. Because if you and I are both as ancient as we know ourselves to be, then what happens over here on this earthly plane, especially if we buy into what society says about time, then we can become very stressed. And so this way of not marking time like that can help you on your journey to becoming a powerful manifester. This is why when we read the Bible, we read the Holy Quran, and we see that there's a time frame, there's something that's supposed to happen within a certain time frame, the days and the years, we're trying to interpret it, we're trying to figure it out, because in the mind of the divine, that time frame that we are looking for doesn't exist. That's why when you look in the Bible and you say, well, so Jesus of 2,000 years ago, did he exist? Why would they have written that in this book if he didn't exist? And does he exist today? And if he is, and who is he? And how can it be written ahead of time? It's because we got time mixed up. So we have to learn how to defy time and defy it by our thinking. Of course, our physical body is going to expire here on this earth. But what happens to the energy of our mind? And this is not something I meant to go into today, but I just want to start talking about mental and spiritual hacks that will make us more powerful as manifestors. Going back again to the billions of dollars that is spent each and every single day to control our minds, how do we hack that? The first thing we have to do is be disrespectful of their concept of time. That's the first thing we have to do. The other thing, not the first thing, but that's one of the things we have to do. We have to accept who we are and be ourselves. What does that mean? I mean, I'm going beyond New Year's resolutions and lists and all these linear, single dimensional things. What do we mean by accepting who we are and being ourselves? Well, we know, you heard me just say that I always had a sense that I was connected to the Creator. And I will also add that I could never reconcile the religion that I grew up with as Catholic with my through line that I felt to the Creator. And I remember trying to figure out how to follow those rules. And I remember, I think being about 7 years old, and we were being prepared to have we had first communion and then first confession. And I was so confused about, because mind you, I feel this through line from myself to the Creator. I feel the antiquity of my soul as a young girl. And then now somebody's telling me I got to go in a booth and confess my sins to a white man that I don't even know. And I remember asking my grandmother about it. And I remember her listening so intently. I can't remember actually what my wording was, but it was something to the extent of, what do I say? What do I say? And she said something to me that people probably would balk at, but she said, don't you go in there and tell that white man all your business. And I remember thinking, okay, so if we're not supposed to tell the man all our business and we don't really like him, why are we even going to this church? But she said, don't you go in there and tell that white man all your business. And I said, well, what do I do? She said, make up something. And then she said, all he's going to do is tell you to say a few Hail Marys, and then you come up out of there and you get on your knees and you go talk to God. It was one of the single best pieces of advice that I'd ever gotten in my life, because she made me know it was okay to go and have a conversation with God about me, a private conversation with God about me. So that's also part of that connection that we have to keep as we're navigating through all of this gloom and doom that is being ramped up. We have to keep our connection with God. We have to look for him in everything. I just was invited tonight, for those of you who want to tune in, to the Munir Muhammad show. And Sister Kim and I were talking, And she said something to me. She said, you have a way of seeing things that no matter how much doomsday it is out there, you always seem to find the silver lining. You always seem to find a way to look at it in a different way. And I said to her, I said, those two things, my knowing of my through line to the Creator and looking for Allah in everything. So then what does that mean? Once I disrespect time and I understand that I might be fulfilling something that was written 50, 60, 70,000 or maybe even 1,000,000 years ago, then I'm okay with going, Allah, what you want me to do? What's the plan here? Because it might not be about what's happening in my short life. It might be me fulfilling the prayers of an ancestor, an ancient person in my past who prayed for something, and I may just be the manifestation of that. So I'm looking for him because I understand that he's bigger than my life. He's bigger than what I am. I'm clear on that. And so I understand when I meet people like, okay, this person may have come to change my vibration in this way. That person may have come to be restorative. That person may have come to be a healer. That person may have come to give me some relief. This person may have come to make me angry and show me that I'm going in the wrong direction. But there's all kinds of purposes, and we have to look for him in everything. There's no problem that can happen on the planet that he cannot solve. The only reason why we can't solve it is because our math is off. We're distorted. Why are we distorted? We're distorted because we're looking at a finite number of variables. But when you look at this thing in totality and try to be very conscious of your through line to the Creator and how long you've been here materializing over and over and over again in the flesh, because you're just going to keep going back to him and coming back as he decides to create again and again and again. So we go back to nature. Then we can figure out what the problem is. We can see. If you book a consulting session with me about your business, I'm going to always show you additional opportunities. I'm going to always show you more. I'm going to always show you something more positive. Why? Because I love God too much to give up on him. And I know that no matter where we are right now, it's just a matter of a small tweak. And we can get to where it is that we're supposed to go. We can fulfill the dreams and the desires of our ancestors and those people who came before us. And when I talk about materializing in this world, see, you are the prayers of your ancestors. You are the prayers of your great, great, great grandparents who came before you, who desired something. So what does that mean? That means that you absolutely have the ability to defy the odds that you are facing according to the mathematics of this world. You can defy those odds once you understand who you are and whose you are. I hope y'all feeling me. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Brother Lamont gave the greetings. I'm leaning up because my beautiful son is here and shining all in the face, but that's okay. Let's see. Brother Otis X Watchman said that he's 53 today, feeling 23. That's right. Brother Lamont says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. Regional Sky Girl is here giving the greetings. Brother Aunt D, I feel the antiquity of my soul. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm loving your usage of the term of, yes, that's right. It's a through line, sis. It's a through line. So let's go back to that, because I watch all my fellow motivational, I'm not really a motivational speaker, but people who speak and do this kind of stuff online, and they're saying, do your New Year's Eve and make your list and da 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 da. Listen, learn how to hack your brain. Hack your brain by being disrespectful of time. Hack your brain by looking for God everywhere, no matter what the situation looks like. I don't care if you see footprints in the snow. Look for God in those footprints. Keep looking for him. And when you look for him, guess what happens? He will come at you flying. He will come at you flying. So when you hear, and this goes into, I felt my antiquity. So when I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the mosque at mosque number 74, and Brother Yusuf Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, started to teach about the concept of a living God, about the concept of us having an inheritance and a table being prepared for us. He was also teaching about the Messiah and being a messenger of Allah, and all of these concepts that a lot of people had a lot of questions about. And I'll never forget sitting there, and as I sat there, the familiarity of my through line to the Creator that I felt as a child came back up, and I said out loud, I know what this is. I know who they are, and I get it. But it's not that I was so much smarter than anybody else, but I was looking for Allah in everything, and he started to come at me flying. So that's why I love projects where you're out over your skis, where you got to push beyond your intellectual capacity. Why do I love it? Because you got to constantly keep looking for him. And then you start living in this world that today's society calls a metaphysical world, but it's really a world of miracles and magic, which is how we should live anyway, because we have that through line to the Creator. So this is important. In addition to that, start studying yourself. I would say this year, instead of writing New Year's resolutions, that you write down a study of yourself, aspects of yourself. Who are you? What did you show up on the planet to do? What do you see yourself doing? How do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to represent? And my suggestion is, once you come up with that, who you are, and you start to study how Allah comes to you, because that's another thing. Oftentimes we're looking for God to materialize, if you will, based on the way the world may say that God materializes. And so we don't see him. We're frustrated. We're like, oh, I don't see him. Where is he? Da, 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 da. But when we understand how he deals with us, see, because you and I are not a mistake, and because we showed up on the planet as an expression, okay, of the Creator, as an expression of God, because we showed up like that, then a lot of times it's different, right? For each of us. We have different personalities. We have a different way about us. We have different things that we do, different things we like. But God decided, I have something to say, and I'm going to say it like this. And you are the materialization. You and I are the materialization of that expression. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad comes and tells us who we are and gives us a knowledge of self, and then he tells us that Master Father Muhammad said to us that he came to line us up with our inheritance. Now you got to think about that. You got to disrespect time, because your inheritance is from your father. And who is your father? You got to through line directly to the Creator, which means that you have a direct line through to Master Fard Muhammad. That's a whole another concept we could talk about. But I just want you to stay here with me on the general term. If he said, accept your own and be yourself. Yes, of course, he's talking about, us as Black people, as descendants of slaves in America who are seeking resurrection and working towards our freedom. Yes, yes, and yes. But also, how do you fit into that equation? Who are you? Go into yourself and study yourself. Instead of writing down the 10 things you want in 2023 that you do every year, most of which they don't materialize, let's do something different this year. Let's sit down and let's say, let's do this. Let's study ourselves and let's figure out who we are and how we want to evolve and how we want to show up on the planet in 2023. Let's talk about that. Let's write that down. When we go buy our journals for 2023, and you all know that I always encourage you, go and buy a new journal. I want you to put in that journal, obviously, things you're grateful for. You're going to continue your gratitude. You should be doing that every single day. But I want you to write down who you are and how you materialize into this world and how you are seeing yourself evolve and who you see yourself as. And I want you to write down your attributes. I want you to really take some time and dissect yourself. You can write out your traumas. You can write out your triumphs. Anything that's important to you that comes to you, let's write that out. Let's do something different this year. Because them lists and all this stuff, these New Year's resolutions that we're doing, they ain't working no way. So let's do something else. Let's hack our brain differently. And then once we start to put that together, then I want you to go and emotionalize it. Once you come up with your conclusion, this is how I want to show up in the world in 2023. I want you to then think about, how am I going to feel when I show up in the world based on what I've come up with here on this page? And don't be lying. Don't lie to yourself. Be real. Don't say, I'm going to show up this year as a white person and you know you're Black. Don't say you're going to show up here as a Black person and you know you're white. Let's do something different. Let's dissect ourselves in those journals this year in. Because, see, you've already put your New Year's resolutions and your desires in the predatory capitalist algorithms based upon your actions. So the predatory capitalists already know what you want. They can probably guess the top 10 things that you're going to put down as your New Year's resolution because they've watched your behavior, not only this year, but over the years. They got millions of touch points on your behavior, so they already know. So they already know how to put the algorithm together to make you go buy something, to make you get off your post so you can keep trying. Whatever they got to do to manipulate your behavior so that you give over your assets, they already know what to do. But what they don't know is how God showed up on the planet through you. See, if we don't learn to play this at another level, we're going to lose, because now you have computers and algorithms. I'm going to continue to lose. You have computers and algorithms that already got you pegged. They already got me and you pegged. They already know us. They know our behaviors. They know that as we move from city to city, we do the same thing over and over again. They know we get up in the morning, if we work out, if we pray. They know what we eat. They know we buy at the grocery store. They know where we go. They know where we get gas. They know where we live. They already know the pattern. So they can deduct and back into who you are. And so you can put up 10 goals, but they already know how to come at you on a subconscious level in a way that you can't even see, so that you will never meet those 10 goals. And you will continue to pay your resources and your assets to them, right? You're going to turn over your assets, turn over your rights to them because you really want those 10 things to manifest. They already know that. They already know that. So let's do something different. Let's sit down and go, who am I? Let me dissect who I am. And then let's start looking at things differently. Because guess what? If they've already put the algorithm together to impact who you are, you got geofencing and all this stuff that's happening. That stuff is old. They got all that together. If they know how to do that, but you're saying, where's Allah in all of that? Then you use what they're doing to benefit yourself. It's like the minister always says, I know they're watching, but I know Allah is watching them. So he don't worry about it. And that's what I want us to do, is think and rise above that kind of thing. Let's hack our thinking. They're already calculating that you're saying, I'm going to be 50 this year. I'm going to be 40 this year. And they already are calculating that you got certain insecurities about whatever age that you're turning. So they're already knowing how to manipulate you based on that emotion and that desire, because they know they put it together. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to disrespect that. It don't matter to me. I'm somebody different. I'm somebody else. If you say that, now you're messing up the algorithm. And all you have to do is say, I don't care how much they tracking. They might be tracking me, but guess what? What they're tracking of me is based on what I did yesterday. But this morning when I woke up, Almighty God, Allah made me into a whole new person. And I'm following him. And I don't care how many algorithms you write. You can't defy him. You might be able to beat me at my game, but you can't beat me at the game that he brought me here to express and play. This is what I want y'all to think about. Okay, so these are the hacks that we're going to use going into 2023. We're going to rise above all of this stuff. When you see things happening on television, look for the truth. Don't let the lies distort you. Say to yourself, what is this? What are they doing here? What's the goal? Because you already know it's a goal. But take a look at it. Every once in a while, pop in on a pop culture blog and say, what's the through line here? What are they doing? But think outside of the box that they've created for you. Do something different. All right, y'all. I see you in the chat. I'm sorry I haven't been able to keep up with it. Let's see. Let's start here. Let's see. I think I read this one. Regional Sky Girl said, I'm loving your usage of the term my through line. Yeah, my through line. So when Master Farad Muhammad is giving out inheritances, I'm aware of my through line. So I know that's a big old inheritance. So what does God have to do? He has to prepare me to be able to handle my inheritance. That means my inheritance is huge because I know whose I am. It's bigger than $100 million, $200 million, $500 million, $1 billion, trillion. It's bigger than that. It's huge. So I know he's constantly preparing me. And I'm submitting to that preparation because I'm open and ready to receive my inheritance. So I'm conscious of my through line. Bro, Aunt D says, Sister Sajdah gives far more value in consultations with her than what she actually charges. Believe that. All praises due to Allah, Brother Anthony, because my goal is to give more in service value than what it is that I receive. So if you pay me $350 for 2 sessions, so you buy one, you get one free, I want you to leave with $1 million idea. Bottom line, I want you to leave with something that's going to make you way more money than that. And because that's my goal, because I'm looking for Allah and everything, because that's how I show up on the planet, and because that's what I pray for before I get on the phone with you or in the meeting with you, 9 times out of 10, that's what you end up getting. And all praises due to Allah. Okay, so Sister Carolyn says, you don't know how bad I needed this today. Thank you, sis. ASA. All praises due to Allah. I think we all need it. I needed it. And so I'm not single dimensional and thinking that I'm the only one who needs it. I know that we all need it. And so I see you all saying yes to redefining ourselves. Let's do it. Let's redefine. Let's go in. Let's study ourselves. See, we want to mimic the act of the first God who went into his self. His first creation was a woman, right? But he kept going inside of himself, creating more stuff. The sun, the stars. He didn't create the moon, the planets, all of that. He's going inside of himself. So let's practice that this year. Let's go inside of ourselves. And I'm going to tell you something that I do when I'm doing that. And I'm just kind of writing down and just trying to figure out who I am and who I need to be to line up with that inheritance. I use the Bible. I use the Holy Quran as my guide. So before and after and during, I'm consulting with the Quran. I'm opening it and letting it just show me and take me where it wants me to go. And I put those verses in there as I'm working on who I am and where I want to be and what I want to do. Let me tell you something I discovered. And I do this on a regular basis. And before we go, I'll tell you this one last story. When I was working on the front lines in the healthcare space, and we were building the hospital in Maryland, I became so intense with the lives that I felt responsible for, the business I felt responsible for. I was so intense with that my sleep patterns had altered. And so even though I would lay down and close my eyes and think I was sleeping, I realized that I wasn't. And so I started noticing changes in myself, changes in my body, changes in my diet. I just started noticing myself changing. And then once the hospital was built, there was the push to make sure it kept running, making sure we were saving lives. We were blessed to save over 30,000 lives and limbs, just kept going with that. And then once I moved to Chicago and I started focusing on, this is how Allah does, which is so beautiful. I started really focusing on the unfolding of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. I call it the unfolding because it already exists. And I had said one day to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I felt a tremendous amount of pressure to get this done before he leaves us. And he says, don't put that pressure on yourself. He said he already seen it. And what that told me was that it's already done. It's already written. And so I have to disrespect time and just keep allowing it to unfold, which can be hard when you got people who have got their hands out and people you owe and you want to, but it just has to happen that way. But what I started to realize was that I had to reteach myself how to sleep. And once I realized that I was learning how to sleep again, and not a lot of other things had changed in my physical routine from a dietary standpoint, from a workout standpoint. I don't work out as hard as I used to back then, but still, nonetheless, every day or at least every other day, I'll skip if I feel a little sore or I'm not really feeling it vibrationally. And I started watching myself change. I started watching weight pour off of me. I started watching the texture of my skin begin to change as I started focusing on revelation. And that comes through the discovery of ourselves. See, the way we look is a manifestation of our environment and how we think. That's a big one, right? The minister says that your thoughts can change matter. Excuse me. How we think can change our material matter. It can change the feeling of our skin. It can change the color of our skin. It can change the shape of our body, the shape of our face, all of that. So that's why it's important for us to be in tune. You should be able to go back and look at pictures of yourself and tell where you were vibrationally by how you showed up, the image of you showed up on that photo. That's an interesting study, right? All right, family. I think you got the gist of what I'm saying. Make sure that tonight you tune in to the Munir Muhammad show. I'll post the flyer. They should be sending it to me soon. I'm going to be on there with Sister Kim Muhammad. And we're going to chat it up. We're going to talk about business and manifestation. We're going to talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum and the development of the museum and just all those wonderful things connected to that. If you have not gotten your commemorative Elijah coin, please get it, because you're not going to get an invitation for the tour visits and presentation that we're going to have at Savior's Day unless you have got a coin, because you got to be in that database. And then even everybody that has purchased a coin, we're not going to even be able to accommodate it. But you won't even get access if you haven't purchased a coin. And that's really going to be true going forward, because there'll be no walk-ups to the house. You can walk up and take a picture from the outside, but you won't be able to walk up and get in. You'll have to go to the website, book your tour. So if you're in our coin database, you're going to be getting an invitation soon. As soon as we finish laying it out. It's one of the things I'm going to work on this weekend is just kind of laying everything out from a project standpoint for Savior's Day. And so you'll be getting that information soon. Going across the bottom, make sure that you join the Sajdah Circle of Winners. Sometimes we call it the Manifestation Circle. Text DO for Self, DO the number 4, SELF to 855-574-9099. And go out there, get your commemorative Elijah coin, like and subscribe to the page. And if you got Roku TV, go out and add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. We're going to send these shows probably last Saturday. I can't remember if last Saturday was sent off, but this one and today we'll get them up so you'll be able to binge and check them out on Roku TV. But there's lots of content out there. I've been writing 1 hour of content every week since 2009. So between Spotify and all these different places, I think I still even have some stuff out there on Blog Talk Radio. I don't know, but there's so much content. And so I'm just working to get it together and bring it to you in different ways. So peace and blessings, family. Happy Savior's Day. And we'll be back soon. I'll let you know if there's going to be a Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talk. It's possible that we may have a rerun this Saturday, because I told y'all I'm doing something different to bring in this new year than what I've normally done. What I want us to do is get your notebooks and start to document who you are, go inside of yourself, dissect yourself so that we can move forward with being a better person. And then let's see what we end up manifesting. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all.
This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com.